from Kalamazoo, direct to you, it's a WKZO.com Quickcast.
Do you know anybody who is just being forced out of business? We mentioned you being lucky enough to have some viable car lines to sell. Do you know of dealers that are just turning out the lights and shutting the door and going out of business?
Yeah, I mean, three of the saddest cases, real quickly, and without names being named on these dealers. Well, one of them is a Detroit dealer, and he has the Dodge franchise on one side of the road, and they're taking his Dodge franchise from him. He has to sell off his inventory and his parts at a loss and try to get rid of it, and he then is losing that franchise, and Chrysler Corporation is going to walk right across the street and give it free of charge, without compensation to that Dodge dealer. They're going to give it free of charge to the Chrysler Jeep dealer on the other side. And he's devastated in a single-use building that can't be converted to a restaurant or something like that. Mm-hmm. In Chicago, another gentleman who was building an $8.5 million building was about 80% of the way done through his building, and he received a notice, and he was building their Project Genesis building, which is the Chrysler, Dodge, and Jeep all under one roof, and he was terminated. And then a very close friend of mine who's on multiple boards in Wisconsin was notified that his two dealerships in the same town, one was a Dodge on one side, one was a Chrysler Jeep on the other, they didn't allow him to put them together, and they eliminated him. And his is a loss of, just to see the visceral response that he had in the meeting when he was notified that both of his dealerships were being shut down. He's losing his employees, he's losing his business, he's losing his income, and he's losing everything that he's pledged for that business, including, his home, and it's just so sad to see.
Sure.
They didn't cause it. Those gentlemen didn't cause this issue, and somehow you see the government backed in this, going through Chrysler, and then shutting down profitable independent businesses. It was a hard thing to comprehend.
Well, you're right. It is difficult to understand the logic of closing dealerships in an effort to increase sales. It's hard to fathom what the business plan is.
Well, and our thought on that is that it's not going to, help the consumer, because as you eliminate competition in the market, the price to the consumer will in essence go up, because of the fewer places to buy these cars. The transaction price will go up, and causing the taxpayer / consumer to pay more money. And so it's a hard thing when you take out a third of all the dealerships. And are there too many dealerships? Yes. But from the 1970s, there used to be 40,000 dealerships in the United States. In the 2009, we started the year with about 21,000 dealerships. By the time this is done, we'll be down to 17,000. There's a natural progression that has always taken place. As business people are not profitable, they sell out to others or they close their point. That's a natural progression. This is not a natural progression. This is a enforced, instilled closure, again, in a 23-day period. I think people for decades will be studying how this ever happened and how the long-reaching arm has gone this far to.
Well, and also I think looking at the decision-making process on which dealers were identified as the ones to close, I think there's going to be looking at a lot of this over time. Have you figured out how many of your employees are going to be impacted by this yet? Or in 23 days, I don't know how much planning you've been able to accomplish. That isn't a lot of time to think through all these issues.
No, it's not. And it's going to be a cut. We're going to try to. I've been proud of the fact that through even the downturn in the car industry, we've had a dramatic downturn. The Kalamazoo auto dealers used to sell around 1,800 cars a month, and now the Kalamazoo auto dealers, I just got done with numbers for May, and those numbers were about 800 cars sold. So a dramatic decrease in the total number of cars being sold in Kalamazoo. So you had a tough time there, but the thing that we were always proud of with Maple Hill is I've always watched out for the employees. We've never had a layoff. We've never had a cutback. I've never taken away anything from the employees as far as benefits, and now all that stuff is on the table because something that I didn't plan, I didn't do. I happened to be part of it. I happened to be marching in the line, and I got selected. And it's tough because you don't want to do those cuts. These are friends. These are people who've been with me for 16 years. These are not just employees. These are people who I know their family. I've been to their family weddings. I've been through all of their births and all the deaths in their families, and and we've watched them for all these years. And now you have to look them in the eye and say, I got to have this business survive for the other 50 people or 60 people, and a few people are going to have to be laid off.
So you think for the first time in your business history you are going to have to shed some people potentially?
Without a doubt. I mean, if the Chrysler thing goes through, and we still, we're a day from it, and we know that Congress is working on part of this. We know that the bankruptcy court is working on part of it, and we also know that the Supreme Court is working with the bond issue people. So on 3 different levels it's being worked. So there's always an optimistic side that there's a glimmer of hope that it may be stayed off or saved. The dealers have, which we joined about 400 of the affected dealers have joined a lawsuit trying to, number one, extend the time period. Give us 6 months, give us a year to do this. Number 2, compensate. Do some kind of a compensation for the dealers. If you're going to, shut them down, then pay for their parts or all the things that we bought from them. Buy them back. Just buy them back. We're not looking to make money. We're trying to break even. We're trying to get our money out of inventory that we aren't going to be able to do anything with after tomorrow's date.
What will happen to the Chrysler vehicles that remain on your property tomorrow? Do you still have the ability to sell them? Just not, you can't get new inventory? Or do you lose your right to do business at all with the Chrysler name as of tonight at midnight?
Those cars, I own those cars. I mean, I own the cars. But the problem that's going to happen tomorrow, after tomorrow night, is that any of the incentives and rebates that the manufacturer has on there, I no longer can apply for them. So all the rebates, and you have rebates anywhere from $1,000 to $8,000 on cars, and myself, along with the other dealers in the nation, you now are at $1,000 to an $8,000 disadvantage because you can't get that money from the manufacturer. So you're going to take that much loss just to start the game, and then you have to move the vehicle, and then somebody has to want to come to a non-Chrysler, non-Jeep, or non-Dodge dealer to buy that product. So it's going to be deeply discounted. So the losses that are going to be suffered after tomorrow night are going to be pretty massive by the dealers across the nation. And they keep saying that they've moved. You laugh because on their testimony they say that they've moved almost all of the cars. I think 90-some% of the cars. But you look at the emails that are coming through to us, it's stating that there's still 25 to 30,000 units that are out there in dealer inventory, just in the affected dealers' inventories. And that's a lot of units. And if you start going times $5,000 or $6,000 or $8,000 a unit, you're looking at hundreds of millions of dollars that are going to be lost by dealers, and this is out of their own pocket. This isn't government supported. This isn't Chrysler bailout. This is, they did the mistakes and we pay the price.